Thank you very much
Here we go.
for being here. We have largely an energy group today. We're looking to be very energy dominant, and we will be in a very short order. These are great professionals, but before we do that, we'll be signing an executive order having to do with COVID and schools. Lindsay?
Yep. So this first executive order, it prohibits federal funding for COVID-19 mandates.
Crazy.
Vaccine mandates.
There, the audio is balancing.
And that will meaning they want to clear that up,
Yep.
the discrepancy.
So any schools that require students to be vaccinated with COVID-19 shot, then there's no more federal funding, so.
Okay?
Damn, that's crazy. No more funding for schools mandating vaccines. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to process that and think about it. I'm not just going to automatically pick what I think. I don't know what I think. I love the sound of that pen, but it also is screechy for me. It's like, there it is. Okay.
Yes, it'll go through the Department of Education. Okay?
I got vaccinated when I was a kid for all kinds of shit that wasn't like COVID.
Mr. President?
Yes, please.
As a father of 9, thank you. We should have parental freedom to decide what vaccines our kids take, as opposed to school systems and governors forcing upon the people that love these kids the most, which is the parents. So thank you for citing that.
Great, thank you.
All right, I gotta
People
say
want
something.
to
I'm a righty. I'm a righty, but I gotta say, kids are fucking disgusting creatures, and every adult that's getting sick, it's from those little shits in school not being clean, and the diseases are spreading amongst them. Then they bring it home to their fucking parents, right? And I'm feeling like maybe like COVID, you know, I don't know. There's got to be a certain line, like there's got to be a certain line where it's logical to where like all these kids that are in one area, they should be vaccinated. Like when I went overseas, I had to get vaccinations when I was in Iraq and shit like that, and all these other countries that I was in, because they had like diseases in those countries, and I had to get vaccinated for them so I can go to those places and not get fucking sick. So I'm just curious on where the line is with this order. Is it just like across the board, any requirement of any type of vaccination, or is it specifically just COVID? I'm not sure. I'm just saying, the way I see it, I'm glad I got vaccinated when I was a kid. I didn't get no fucking chicken pox and shit like that.
Here is an executive order.
So, I mean, maybe there's some schools where kids can go to and like where, you know, like those rules aren't there and everyone could do whatever they want. And I just think that if we measured it, like there's schools where they require vaccines to go to school, and there's other schools where it's open season, one's going to have a lot more illnesses than the other. Just mathematically, across the board, all the schools across the nation, right? Just math. It's math. They said COVID, specifically COVID vaccines. I mean, I did get one. Did we do one or two? We did the two. Nothing bad happened to me from taking the vaccines, but I was super fucking paranoid. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, dude, is this shit fucking tested right? Is this gonna be a problem later? I'm still paranoid. I'm still paranoid.
Energy Dominance Council. So that will be chaired by the Secretary of the Interior, Mr. Burgum, and the Vice Chair, Chris Wright. And so this will reduce costs with respect to energy, establish American independence with energy, and also unleash energy dominance.
Good, thank you.
Interesting.
And this is a big deal. We have more energy than any other country, and now we're unleashing it, to put it nicely. And I'd like to ask Doug, you're going to be heading it up. You and Chris, would you say a few words about it, please?
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Good afternoon. President Trump wisely understood that under the Biden administration, there was a war against American energy, and today that war officially has ended. President Trump on day one declared a national energy emergency, and this is a real emergency because under the Biden administration restricted the production of oil and gas, production's still coming, but when you stop holding leases, when you take 625 million acres of land out of ocean land, out of production possibilities through an executive order, you're really restricting the balance sheet of America. But today, as President Trump said, this is unleashed. The National Energy Dominance Council will be made up, all the folks that are standing beside me here, other cabinet leaders and many more, represent President Trump's wise decision that we need a whole of government approach to unwind. The Biden administration had a whole of government approach that had the war against U.S. energy. Now we need to turn that around 180 degrees and unleash that potential. We've got to unleash it.
This is what I'm talking about.
Gulf of America, all the way up to Alaska.
Gulf of America,
we have
baby.
Amazing resources in this country, and we haven't been getting a return on them. Many of these are under public lands. The interior has 500 million acres of surface, 700 million acres of subsurface minerals, critical minerals, and offshore close to 2 billion acres. And that balance sheet is the biggest balance sheet in the world, and it's been completely underutilized. Everybody knows we have 36 trillion in debt as a country, but no one knows how many hundreds of trillions of dollars of assets we have. And President Trump is asking us to go get a return on that investment for the American people.
Interesting.
With that, we're going to have prosperity at home with lower prices, and we're also going to have peace abroad, because the wars that we've been engaged in,
wars are expensive.
Our allies have been fighting over the past few years, have been funded by the oil sales of our adversaries. So we have an opportunity, and we also are in an AI arms race with China. The only way we win that is with more electricity. And we also have an energy emergency in terms of electricity. Too much.
We need more compute and more power.
Not enough base load. We've been shutting down the base load that we have. President Trump is going to reverse that, and it's going to allow us to win the AI arms race, which is the most important thing that we have to do relative to our future. So with that, I want to say again, thank you to President Trump, and I want to thank my fellow members of the Energy Council here. I'm going to kick it over to the Vice Chair, Chris Wright.
What's your opinion on Trump leaving the Paris thing?
Thank you, Secretary Burgum.
My answer to that,
truly a great day.
My answer to the Paris Agreement thing is this, right? And this is why I think that I'm a better person to watch when it comes to politics. I don't fucking know enough about the Paris thing. Let me go research it and learn more about it, and then I'll get back to you on what I think about Trump leaving it. Since I don't know about it, I'm not going to support it or disagree with it, because I don't fucking know. There you go. There's my answer. Just wanted to make that clear.
And Secretary Burgum laid out so many of the problems the last 4 years. If you put barriers in front of energy, you make it more expensive, you make it less reliable, you make it harder to do business here, and harder for our consumers to pay their bills. With this fantastic action from our president, we now have authority across the government to lean in to fix these problems. And I'll start out with one specific right away. This morning, I signed our first LNG export license, unpausing the pause in action.
Who is this guy?
Commonwealth LNG project that'll be on the Gulf Coast in Louisiana is now officially ready to go. This will be a large construction project for American workers. It'll draw demand for more American energy production that'll be shipped overseas to our allies. Many more of those to come. We're also working aggressively to roll back standards that have made appliances more expensive for Americans, and dishwashers that take 2 hours long and don't get your dishes clean. Nobody likes that. That's about standing in the way.
Those dishwashers are slow.
This president,
pretty easy to hurry up. You should not take it 2 hours to wash dishes.
So many things we can do.
You're faster
to make
than the machine.
American lives better, bring down costs, and grow opportunities. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to a fellow member of the council, our administrator of the EPA.
$5 super chat from PK Droid says, do you like Trump and politic, or do you just watch for fun? I started off watching for fun. I've always liked Trump. I've always been a fan of Trump. The only time I was like least liking Trump was how he responded to losing the second election. That's, that was my least favorite Trump era. But I've always liked Trump. And I don't know. I never voted, but I wanted Trump to win.
Lee Zeldin.
Thank you, Secretary, and honored to be serving on the Energy Dominance Council. At EPA, we're doing our part to power the great American comeback. And President Trump has made it clear.
Sorry to pause one more time. Paris Climate Agreement. You really should know a little. I don't know. I'm not avoiding it. I just never looked into it. You said you believe in climate change. Honestly, I find it weird how nobody seems to want to burn less, pay for less fuel. Shut up.
that he wants EPA to be
My answer
doing
before is
our
perfectly
job
fine. Stop trying to
ensure
cause a
that we
fight.
are unleashing
Stop it.
energy
You're a perfect
dominance
example
however
of
we
someone
can
just here to
help.
fight.
That we are
Shut up.
assisting in making America the AI capital of the world, that we are pursuing permitting reform, that we are helping to bring back American auto jobs. This is the mandate of the American public. The Trump mandate, it was clear, and the guidance from President Trump to me.
You won
when
3
he asked
times?
me, thankfully, for the opportunity for us to be able to serve together
Tesla
in
Optimus
partnership
soldiers?
to
Fuck yeah.
unleash energy dominance.
Tesla
this is
soldiers.
a moment that we must meet. To that end, it is important to note that the prior Biden-Harris EPA issued a waiver to California for tailpipe emissions. This was a rule that should have been submitted to Congress. We will submit it to Congress. Congress will have the opportunity through the Congressional Review Act to make that waiver go away. We will do everything in our part to help the American people to make life in America more affordable. The golden age of American success is upon us. If you're excited about the last 3 weeks, that was just a taste of the main
I'm
event.
excited about the past
entree
3
to
weeks.
come, the next 4 years being the greatest
We got
term
4 more
in the
years.
history of the American
Let's
presidency.
go. I'm all about
With that,
it.
I'd
Let's
like
keep
to
doing
introduce
shit. Let's
Sean Duffy.
optimize the way we operate, be
First of all,
competitive
thank you
again.
for the work on dishwashers. We use more water to wash our dishes before we put them in the dishwasher.
That's right.
We're not saving water, we're using more water, so thank you for that. But I'm also joining the EPA. We've introduced our rules to start to look at the CAFE standards. So we're looking at how much it costs for end users when they put gas in their car. And the Biden era standards are costing billions of dollars in taxes and carbon credits, which drive up the cost of vehicles. And so we're going to remedy that, rectify it, and make sure we're bringing down the cost of a car. Per your direction, we are going to, for the Texas Gulf Link Deepwater Port, making sure we can move energy in and out of the country. So that was held up for 5 years. And it was stonewalled, bureaucrats got in the way. We're now going to move forward with that, making sure we have great oil infrastructure in the country.
Great, thanks. Great
And
job.
Howard Lutnick?
Yes.
So
The helicopter's
the
loud.
nanny state. You're
This guy
feeling
again.
the end of the nanny state. From straws made of paper to regulation endlessly harming Americans and holding us back. It slows down our production and manufacturing, which we were talking about with the Prime Minister of India yesterday. You're hearing that about energy dominance. It's going to go away. We're going to care about Americans. The Trump administration and this president cares about Americans, and you're going to feel it change. You're going to feel the price of energy coming down. You're going to feel prices coming down. You're going to feel an explosion. The golden age of manufacturing of America has always been there. It's just been stifled by regulation, and that time
That's true. It has
is
been.
over.
I've experienced that myself. Before I was ever a content creator, before I was a YouTuber, before I was a Twitch streamer, I was in business. My last business that I had other than content was manufacturing. It's a company called Samson Exhaust. It was my dad's company. He started it, passed it on to me. It was in a very terrible place. Manufacturing is a tough job, very slim margins, are hard to get by in that world. And taking over that company was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire fucking life. Manufacturing is brutal. Joining the Marines and going to Iraq was easier. I'd rather do that again than go through what I did running my dad's company. Okay. And I will tell you that when it comes to manufacturing, we used to be a mecca for manufacturing, and it's not anymore. It's so bad. And guess what? Like, some of the best manufacturing is happening in like California. Believe it or not. Isn't that ridiculous? We should have like manufacturing mecca in Texas. What are we doing? It's messed up. The whole thing is messed up. So I really want, I think that it's a positive thing to focus our like if we're playing a real-time strategy game, I think it's logical to focus a lot of our like research points on manufacturing and bring manufacturing here so we can have that, because it is everything around you in your room right now, wherever you are, the phone that you're holding in your hand, it was manufactured. Everything around you was made. Manufacturing is, with a lot of Americans that are getting into politics and stuff, severely underestimated how powerful that is. This is one reason why Trump has always been pursuing bringing manufacturing here, because it is OP. If you're the ones who make it, right, then you hold, like, you have the leverage. He's trying to bring leverage back to America, and that's what manufacturing is going to do. It really needs to come here.
Mr. President, I just want to say that you've built such an incredible team, and Secretary and Chairman Burgum, that he's been working on this his whole life.
Don't bring manufacturing to Texas.
Sir, is action as early as next
that guy
week that is going to shock
votes in
people
Texas.
about how good it is
Guys.
for Americans. And so thank you for your leadership, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Wait, hold on. I have a question for you, Austin. Why not bring manufacturing to? Why are you saying please don't bring manufacturing to Texas? I am actually super curious, Austin. Can you please answer? I'm asking you. Please tell us what your logic is and what the benefit is to not bringing manufacturing to Texas.
We are also working on a project that has been under wraps for 20 years. Everybody wanted it.
What's up, Texas
It's
Pete?
been held up by New York. It's a pipeline that will bring down the energy prices in New York and in all of New England by 50, 60, 70%. It should have been done years ago. We'll be speaking to New York, and the New York is actually the biggest beneficiary because their energy costs are very high. This will reduce them very substantially. But all of the governors want this to happen, and I think it's going to happen. It's now going to happen. It's something that's would rather not have to go eminent domain. We'll do that if we have to in New York, but hopefully we won't have to do that. This again will bring down energy prices in New England by numbers that nobody can even believe. Probably
Yeah, Texas is OP,
50%,
dude.
maybe even more than that. A lot of them don't even pay energy because they have no energy. They use logs. They go out and they cut down a tree. It's really a terrible situation. So we're going to get this done, and we can have it done once we start construction. We're looking at anywhere from 9 to 12 months, if you can believe it. It's going to go very rapidly. The other thing I'd like Doug to mention, the 635 million acres that Biden so viciously took out of our net worth. If you look at it from the standpoint of a company, you talk about net worth. They've destroyed our net worth. We're putting it back. It will be back as of this afternoon. And Doug, could you mention that? All of the millions and millions of acres that he just handed back to
Yes,
nobody.
the executive order by President Biden that wiped out these trillions from our balance sheet. President Trump signed an executive order instructing me as the Secretary of Interior to unban that ban.
Secretary of
that's been
Interior.
accomplished. And so those are back on the U.S. balance sheet.
All right. Question for chat. I know a lot of you guys know this stuff. I don't know a lot of things, so I'm going to ask. What is the Secretary of Interior, and what do they do? What are they responsible for?
625 million acres of offshore that was banned from further lease sales.
Further anything.
And 625 million acres is
Right.
1/3 the size of the lower 48 that was taken off our balance sheet. It's back on there now. President Trump cares about the American people. He knows that these public lands belong to the public. They don't belong to Washington bureaucrats.
No idea, me
Prior
either, but I
administration.
want to know.
And we're going to make sure that we get a return on investment for the American people.
Decorating the
amount
Oval
of
Office.
money that he took off our balance sheet, if you look at the balance sheet, it was
That's funny.
incalculable.
Tight, you're
Nobody's
hilarious.
Ever seen anything like it? And he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres.
Okay.
Which if you-
Swift is like our scribe. He is way more righty than I am. Keep that in mind. But he really has a love for the facts. And I think that he's able to separate his bias from facts pretty well. Not all the time, but pretty well. Swift says basically land management and resource for federal land. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? So land management and resources for federal land. Okay, that's what the Secretary of Interior does. Interesting.
You sit
Most of the
down
time, yeah.
and look, it's like, that's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away. And fortunately, it wasn't done with an act of Congress or anything. And we did it in a, I think, very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure. And it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back as part of our country. What they did was so horrible. It was Just a terrible thing to do.
Department of Interior
Unbelievable
deals
thing
with
to do.
land and national
Also,
park
they
and government
mentioned
land.
dishwashers
Thank you,
and
Ms. Conway.
Sinks and showers and the whole
I'm learning
thing.
stuff from you guys. You guys are teaching me.
We're going to get
Appreciate
rid of those
you.
restrictions. You have many places
This is
where
the
they have
funnest
water,
way to
they
learn.
have so much water they don't know what to do with it. But people buy a house, they turn on the sink and water barely comes out. They take a shower, water barely comes out. And it's an unnecessary restriction. And basically, I think we're going to be going back to the Trump rule. We had it, and everybody was happy. And then these people came in and they restricted it again. So we're going back and we'll get it approved by Congress. In addition, we'll get it approved by Congress. So for 4 years, it's good, but we're going to get it permanently taken care of. And
Getting
again,
paid to learn.
very
I am,
environmental,
actually,
very
yeah.
environmentally friendly. But we want to be able to, when somebody turns on a sink to wash their hands or presses the button for a dishwasher, and there's barely enough water there's no water. And you know what they do? They press the button 10 times. They run it 10 times, so it ends up costing a lot more.
Dude,
So,
I love the way Trump
I know you're
talks,
working
man.
on that, and where are we
I
on
just
that?
love it so much.
We're working closely with the Department of Energy with regards to rules that were enacted during the Biden administration. Inside of the EPA, we are overhauling the water sense standards that are there to update them for the American people, to bring down cost of living and combat inflation, and just pursue common sense.
$2 super chat from Random Kills has a really interesting question because I was asking this myself literally earlier today. Labor overseas is so cheap. How do we bring it back? That's a really good point because Americans are way more expensive than anyone else when it comes to our labor. So how do we bring it here and still drop the price? I don't know. I'm in wait and see moment. That's where, you know what I mean? Like I don't know enough. I don't have enough experience to say, but I've thought about it and it is a concern of mine. We are more expensive, you know? So like, let's say you're running a business and you're trying to get shit made for cheap. Where's the cheapest place to get your stuff made? Especially if it's like without compromise, right? You get the same end product, but for cheaper. There is no compromise. So if there's no compromise and you can get a cheaper price from one place, that's where businesses logically are going to land because they're bottom line oriented. So I'm just kind of, I know that there's a lot of incoming and outgoing numbers with the transaction of everything that's made elsewhere and brought here versus just making it here. And since I support Trump, I want to trust his equation of him thinking that it's going to be more beneficial just to do it here. And I think he's right because it's efficient. My concern is just how expensive Americans are. We pricey. We ain't cheap. Just saying. So that's where like China and India are crushing us because they have like borderline fucking slave labor and they're utilizing that. Like the government is utilizing that to their fullest advantage. And it's really hard to compete against when we're expensive and have freedom and shit like that.
Well, we have more oil and gas than anybody else in the world. We're opening up Anwar again. As you know, we got something Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. No president was able to do it. I got it. And the first week in office, the Biden administration terminated that. Anwar
The tariffs might change that too. It's part of the
probably
equation,
bigger
like you're
than
saying.
Saudi Arabia. We don't know yet, but it's of that size or bigger. And we hit gold, and I call it liquid gold, but we hit gold, and for whatever reason, they terminated it, and we were just
Thanks,
ready to
Raphael.
start utilizing it. This could take care of all of Asia, energy-wise, very close to Japan. In fact, Japan wants to go and be our partner in doing the pipeline going right into the ships. So they expressed tremendous interest. So did Prime Minister Modi of India. And just in closing, both Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister of Japan, both very good people, they said we couldn't make a deal. We couldn't get any energy. I mean, you wonder what was going on with our country. They couldn't make a deal to get any energy from the Biden administration. They just couldn't do it.
They
There was
suck.
nobody to deal with.
They have no
They didn't know
idea
to
how
go
it even
about
works.
And they're very happy that
I feel like a lot of the people that were part of the Biden administration don't even actually have a big picture view of how all this stuff works and how the money moves and how important it is for us to be competitive and stuff. And they just see it as like unlimited money and don't think about the consequences. That's just the vibe I get. I could be wrong. I'm probably biased as a righty, just looking at them as dumb or something like that. But I just feel like that's what happened, you know? And that's what I feel like it happened. And it just feels like these people actually have an understanding of like global like finance and are trying to be competitive in this market where everyone else is trying really hard to be competitive, and we're just sitting here unlimited money glitch, right? And that's not the case. We're gonna get crushed in the long run if we're not competitive.
Here, but we're going to really benefit our taxpayers, and we're going to benefit our country. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This is a very big bill. This is really going to be energy dominant.
Thank you for the
We're gonna be
follows, guys, on
energy
Twitch.
dominant like nobody else.
And thank you for the $2 super chat,
This
PK
doesn't
Droid.
even discuss all of the electricity that we're going to be producing for all of the AI plants. You know, they need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So you take all of our electricity that we have all over the country, just for AI to do it right and to win that war, which we're leading by a lot.
Trump doesn't think AI produces electric. Trump understands that AI requires a lot of electric. You've got it wrong. This executive order that he's signing is for us to get more energy. Since AI is very energy intensive, it requires a lot of power. Think of like Bitcoin, like cards just running at full max power, right? And like that was using a lot of power from our grid. Everyone, like all the Bitcoin miners, right? Remember that? AI is very similar. It takes a lot of power to operate, and that's what he's signing here. He's trying to get us more energy so we could power the AI and lead with AI, because we're in an arms race with China with AI. And it's like, it's a very new, powerful technology. We're not even fully aware of what it even means and where it's going to lead us. There's a lot of philosophical people trying to figure that out, you know, trying to guess and stuff, but at the end of the day, we don't really know. All we know is that this is powerful, and we want to be first, and we need to have a hold on that. And that's what this is for. We need more electricity to power the AI. It's not, you got it wrong and backwards. I think that you're thinking of it backwards because you don't like Trump. So you're going to think that everything that he's doing is stupid. But if you really think about this issue, AI is a new emerging thing, and we're building these AI super centers. Okay, like we have all the super data centers. Now we're building AI power centers, and AI is going to power everything. We won't even need to have these big giant computer machines in the future. We're going to have these AI powered servers that are just crunching the numbers on everything in the cloud for us. That's the future, and that's what they're investing in right now, and we need to be first. So you think we have a lot of cloud products now? Just wait until we build these AI super centers and we accelerate. Like we're accelerating right now with like insane technology. Right now is a good time to invest in AI. It always has been. It's absolutely exploding, and it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going. These things like this type of actions from the president is going to make AI investments even better. So if you've got extra cash, you could throw $100 in Nvidia or something, you know, Microsoft, right? Microsoft has Azure. They're powering a lot of the AI that's on the internet right now. Like there's AI is a big deal, and it takes a lot of power to operate, and it's going to need even more. So now we have to double our energy efforts. Energy is the ultimate currency. So we need more. And that's what this is about.
Because of what we've done over the last few weeks. We're leading by actually a lot. But if you take all of it, we have to double our electricity needs just for the AI, and that doesn't include the other technologies. So it's a real honor to sign this bill. We're going to also work on CAFE standards. Lee, you're going to be doing that and make that whole situation, bring that back into reality, and I think very quickly, having to do with cars. Thank you very much.
Here we go. The mic. They need a better mic for the pen.
No, but in 2 weeks we will have another one. Yesterday was very big. Reciprocal tariffs was very big. And
sorry to pause. I just got a donation. $2 super chat from Pedro. It says, I've watched you since the tortilla slap video. Thank you very much. He also said up here, let me scroll. He says, what made Trump want to be in presidency? I don't know. I've seen videos from him a long time ago saying that he wanted to do it. But so I think maybe it's just always an aspiration of his.
I explained to
That's my
the
guess.
Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, very good man. His tariffs are very, very high. India's tariffs are among the highest. And I said, well, now, you know, we were very low. We were the lowest. They're just about the highest. There are others as high, but not much higher. And I said, no, from now on, what we do is what you charge us, we charge you. It's very simple. So whatever you're charging us, you can go as high as you want. Whatever you charge us, we charge you.
Did he make any pledges?
And I wouldn't say they were thrilled to hear that, but that's the way it is. Tariff, I told you, is a beautiful word. Fourth most beautiful.
Did he make any pledges about BRICS nations not undermining the dollar? You had threatened 100% tariffs.
BRICS, the BRICS nations I think that's breaking up very rapidly. We said that if they're going to go and do anything to undermine the dollar, that includes China. I don't even know that they're a member of BRICS, but they had a few nations get together to try and play cute. And I said, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every one of those nations. And at the mere thought of saying that, I think that's all broken up. That idea has no longer sailed. Now, that would be a terrible thing for our country. It would be bad for the world. They wanted to undermine the dollar. 6 nations got together. They want to undermine the dollar. That didn't work out too well. Not going to happen. And we're getting along with a lot of nations now, frankly. There's a lot of respect for the United States. We have regained the respect that we should have, but we've also done things to deserve it. I mean, we've freed up our country, and you're going to see this is basically energy dominance, and it's going to be environmentally clean, environmentally wonderful, and taxes will be very reasonable based on this. We're going to make more money than anybody's ever made with energy. We have more energy than anybody else, and it's clean energy, very clean, beautiful energy. We're lucky. We have it. I call it liquid gold under our feet, and we're going to utilize it. So this is a very big bill, and I have a very talented group of people behind me. This gentleman was the #1 man in all of the oil industry. They said there's nobody like him, Chris Wright. And you know Doug actually made a tremendous fortune in technology, and he said, I'm going to run for the governorship he loves his state, of North Dakota. And he did. And
What do you think is the chance BRICS intends to intimately undermine the petrodollar? I just learned what BRICS is yesterday, so keep that in mind, right? Somebody said it, or they were talking about it, and I asked, what the hell is that? I've never heard it before. It was explained to me that it's a union of 12 nations. It started off with 4 or 5, and then now it's 12. I'm still learning about that, but I will say this. I think the chances of that team of nations trying to be as competitive as they fucking possibly can is 100% going to happen. That's what I think. They're going to try and be competitive, and they're going to be competitive, and we need to be competitive alongside them. Or with them. That's what we need to do. So I like it. Learning more about that made me realize just how important it is that we actually step our fucking game up as America. Okay, we can get passed up. It doesn't seem like it's possible. We've been on top the whole time. We've been on top my entire life. We've been on top. I don't know anything else other than being on top. But it's gonna stop if we don't continue to be a competitive nation with all of the other nations. We need to play the game the way we play it. Just saying. So it strengthened my, support for Donald Trump, because I feel now I'm understanding, dude, this guy's playing a bigger game than people even realize, and that is the global game of nations. And we need to continue to secure our position as being a dominant country.
And he made it so energy powerful that I think you're more proficient in energy than technology, but what do I know? And this guy, everybody knows him, Sean. He's been he's done a fast study on transportation, and he knows.
We need to be better at education. I agree. We need to be better at a lot of things.
He's learned a lot. He's really been great. And Howard has built one of the great companies, Cantor Fitzgerald. It was wiped out, completely wiped out, other than a few people left in Europe. And he rebuilt the company into a bigger, better company. Cantor Fitzgerald is absolutely one of the top companies on Wall Street, stocks, bonds, trading. And he took that, he literally watched the plane go into the building, go into the World Trade Center. Amazing story. That alone is an amazing story. He was delayed because his wife insisted that he finally, after years, take his child to school. So he took his child to school that
Interesting
one day,
story.
Normally he would have been in the building at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's that business, right? So you owe your wife a lot and your child a lot, right? But his wife insisted that he take his child to school. For 5 years he didn't do it. He was horrible. What kind of a father was he? Okay, I'll do it. And he was therefore driving down at 8:43, whatever the time was, down the West Side Highway, and he saw the plane go into the side of the building. He said, wow. And he occupied the top 3 floors of the World Trade Center.
That's crazy, man.
Building of the World Trade Center. And you know what happened there? He lost 100% of the people in that, his whole company was there. And he rebuilt
That's crazy.
his company step by step over years. and became bigger and stronger, and he gave a tremendous amount of the profit to the families of the people that died, which he didn't have to do. And now he's working with us. He did an incredible job. I mean, anybody in that world, they know Howard Lutnick very well, and I'm honored to have him running Commerce. He's going to be incredible. He loves the country. And Lee was
Here's
a great
the guy they're
lawyer,
talking about. I'll scoot
a
it
great
over.
Congressman.
This guy right there.
Very successful person, both as
The
a
beard
lawyer
on the
and
left.
as a congressman, and knows a lot about the environment, cares about the environment, and we were lucky that I was very happy that you joined, and he was with me right from the beginning, always was with me, and I've always been with him. And Kevin Hassett, we know everybody knows Kevin, and he's fantastic. And you and Lindsay, you and your team are incredible. The job you've done, we really appreciate. Thank Will, and the job you guys are doing is really fantastic. We're knocking this out. Brian, do you have a question?
I actually do. What kind of piqued my interest is growing up on the Texas Gulf Coast, natural gas, the LNG that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What's the potential for like new jobs or growth in that area? I mean, that part of the country, Southwest Louisiana, Southeast Texas, they depend on that.
I would say that potential is simply tremendous. 20 years ago, the United States was the biggest importer of natural gas in the world. And we had natural gas prices 2 or 3 times higher than
PK Joy, thanks for the $2 super chat. Happy Valentine's Day.
And great entrepreneurs in Texas and
This kid just learned about BRICS and he wants to talk about politics.
We
Yeah,
are now today
I'm allowed
the
to,
largest net
and people are
exporter
listening.
of natural gas in the world.
Marcos, go live. See how many people want to listen to you. $5 super chat for Marcos. Complain. So you paid $5 to say this. This kid just learned about BRICS and he wants to talk about politics. Yeah, wouldn't you rather somebody not pretend like they fucking know everything? I mean, what is wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing is wrong with that. And that's what we need more of. I want to set an example. I don't know everything, and I'm learning that. I'm interested in it. I'm learning about this stuff as I go. Stuff that I didn't know before. Now I'm learning. And I bet that I'm going to learn about it and become more logical than you are. That's what I think. I think I'm going to be more logical and more fair than you are about these issues. And I'm going to have known about them less than you. Less time. I'm just going to lap you as far as understanding these things.
So much of the world is depending upon natural gas is the fastest growing energy source, has been for 50 years. We were the driver of that, and then we paused. We stopped our ability to grow natural gas exports. Both the Japanese government and Indian government expressed great distress about that. They're going to count on energy imports from the U.S., and we may just change our mind. So I think they're thrilled to see the actions of this president say America's open for business. Yes, we have the energy, we have the people, we have huge job opportunities and investment opportunities, not just in the oil and gas industry, but all those surrounding communities that are lifted up by that more production here. And as we produce more production at scale, not only does it allow us to export, but it becomes more efficient, and it helps us drive down the cost for our domestic consumers as well.
Yeah, I know they're really happy to just let you. Thank you. 'Cause I grew up in that area.
Thank you, Brian. And I will say this, that this all started 8 years ago when I got elected. We were doing this, not to the extent that we're doing it now, but we were doing this, and we became #1 in oil and gas by far. And we were number 3, even number 4, some would say. When I left, we were #1 by a lot. And then they pulled way back, and the prices started going through the roof. And then they went back to my plan, but by that time, the prices had already gone up, so they really disrupted it. But now we're going to take it to a new level. It's going to be amazing. And we're also, it's very powerful, clean coal. We have more coal than anybody. This is good, beautiful, clean coal. And if you notice, China's opening up a coal plant.
Everything is marketing.
Germany is now opening up a coal plant every 2 months. Very powerful. It's probably the most powerful source of energy in terms of generation of electricity and other things. And we're going to utilize our good, clean, beautiful coal and oil and gas. We have more than anybody of everything, and we're going to take advantage of it. And
the cleanest of coal. Some would say the best coal. $2 super chat from Dennis. Thank you very much. Thank you for the follows on Twitch, guys.
His confirmation, he got him through that process. And then he had some
We got 800 people on YouTube, 17 on Twitch. Come on. I know some of you guys want to watch widescreen.
Outline what what would or would not happen as far as Ukraine's membership in NATO goes. And then
I haven't heard that. I mean, Roger's a very good.
Here's the way I think about energy, right? So since we're trying to be competitive and we need a lot of energy now, I think that we should use all forms of energy. Coal, oil, nuclear, solar, wind, all of it. Any water, any way, thermal, any way that we can gather energy, we should be gathering it in all forms. If I was playing this like it's a real, like I'm playing Sid Meier's Civilization, and I am America, so I have an excess of like strategy points that I could be applying to things, right? Or research points or whatever. I'm going to be like, how about all the forms of energy gathering? Let's just do them all. That's the way I would do it. But that's, I mean, I'm not in charge. I'm not a super genius, bro. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it makes sense to me when I'm thinking of it like a video game. I'm like, we need energy. We need all the energy. Let's do all the methods of energy gathering that we can, while also investing in more methods of energy gathering. The sun be unlimited. I will say that. That's unlimited energy.
A friend of mine, and Peter's obviously, he's been doing a great job.
Did you know
I haven't heard. Let me look at. You tell me something. I have not heard
the
about.
question I had is, were you aware of what Secretary Hegseth was going to say in his speech at NATO?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Nuclear
Generally
fusion.
speaking,
I'm all about
I'll
it if
speak
it's
to Roger.
if it makes sense.
I'll find out.
If it maths out, it pencils out, I'm good for it.
All forms of energy? Does that include
All
wind and
forms of
solar?
energy. Yep.
And
new
pipeline you
follower.
mentioned, sir, is that Constitution pipeline in New York?
Yes.
Can you, is
Yes.
that the
I
project?
believe
that's
so,
finished?
right?
Yes.
A new
That's what it
follower.
is. And they've been trying to get it for 20 years. And what it means is for New York, upstate New York, and even everywhere in New York, also other states, but in particular New England, that New England will now, I think, will cut the energy prices, and big cuts in New York too, but cut the energy prices literally in half. We have the permits. We have permits that just about everything we need a New York permit, and I would imagine they want to do because their energy prices will come down so far. And it's a lot of jobs for New York. It's a great thing for New York. Everybody wants it. We'll be meeting with the various governors, Governor of New York, and the other governors too. And we can have it built in about 9 months, and let's say 1 year, but we can actually have it built in pretty close to 9 months. It's all set. We have most of the permits, almost all of the permits.
And on just, you're prioritizing energy dominance today, you've also.
Energy
prioritized
dominance,
trade
baby.
Balance. The oil industry is a little worried about the steel tariffs. I mean, they put 20,000 feet steel in the ground at a well. How will you balance that? Is there a possibility?
You're talking about steel and aluminum.
Indeed, steel tariffs.
So the steel, I saved the steel industry in my first term by putting on tariffs because China was dumping massive amounts of steel. Others also, but mostly China. And I put very substantial, we took in $600 billion worth of tariffs from China. No other president's taken up, literally haven't gotten 10 cents from China, not 10 cents. And hundreds of billions of dollars came in from China. And they understood it. They understood what I did. But
A new follower.
the dumping stopped. And had I not done that, you wouldn't have one steel mill, I think I can say, not one steel mill operating in this country. And we need steel. We need steel. I mean, there are some things you
$5 super chat for Marcos. He's still around. He's still giving $5. Let's read what he has to say. It's great that you want to learn. My problem is that you've given him credit for he has not done because you don't understand politics. Well, I'm not going to give credit for things that I don't understand. Okay, and I'm not always going to get things correct. All I'm doing is looking at what's in front of me and listening to what's being said and digesting it, just like any normal person is. What else can we do other than look at this, digest it, and try and understand, right? I think that you saying that I'm giving credit for things that he hasn't done, name one. I think you just made that shit up. I think you just made that shit up because you got Trump derangement syndrome. Now you have Stan derangement syndrome. I never fucking gave him credit. Like, go back in the stream and find where I'm giving credit for something that he didn't do. Just saying. I'm just like, all I've said is that it feels like things are going good. I'm liking these guys. I feel like he's making some, like, he's competently looking at the global stage here and trying to position us into a good place. That's what it feels like to me. I don't fully understand this stuff, but that's what it feels like to me. That's what I'm seeing in front of me, in front of my eyes. I'm a normal person. I'm not a political expert. I'm a normal person. I'm normal. I'm a regular person looking at this stuff, trying to understand it. So just saying, I think that you got some like blinders on that are making you you're like, Trump bad, everything you say bad. This guy, I can't believe he's listening to Trump. Why are you listening to that guy? He has some sort of blah, 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 Russia, Russia, Russia. Bro, nobody's listening to that anymore. I'm looking at what's in front of me and digesting it. What's in front of me is what I'm seeing and what I'm interacting with and what we're all talking about. All right.
You have to have, and steel is one of them for military, etc. So,
but thanks for the $5.
I think steel is going to be very strong. It's going to be very strong. I think it'll go back to being really powerful. We saved it.
America's back, baby.
I mean, we were talking about U.S. Steel last week. U.S. Steel would have been closed, totally closed.
Okay, hold on. I got to comment on this too. I hope you're watching many sources of media, at least. We do that. I have a whole bunch of stuff stacked up, stuff from the left and the right, ready to look at when we're done with this. I have it ready to go. Yes, I have a super lefty dude that works for me that helps me look at both sides of things. All right. So I even have my own, you guys don't even realize it. I have a checks and balance dude behind in the back end that's super lefty that I'm running things by. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this stuff? How does this make you feel? What does this appear like to you? Okay. Like I'm actually literally like, I'm working with lefty people, but here's the point I'm trying to make, right? What do you mean what source? This is a direct feed to the man himself. Nobody's telling me what to think. I'm not listening to the left or the right. I'm listening to this guy speak to me right now. That's what I'm doing. He's right here with no filter through anybody. I'm kind of a filter, but I'm not telling you guys what to think. I'm just looking at this and saying, here's what I think when I see this. This is what I'm feeling. And then I ask you guys, what are you guys feeling? Nobody's telling me what to think. I'm just watching this and I'm digesting it and figuring out what I believe and what I don't believe. That's it. I don't 100% believe everything Trump says. Dude, the guy is really good at saying what he needs to say so he can win. And I want him to be that way. You know, like if you're wanting Trump to be a 100% truthful all the time, then you're wanting a less competitive Trump.
We saved it. And now it's going to become, I think, very, very profitable. The tariffs are going to save a lot of industries.
Mr. President, U.S. Steel, can I just follow up on U.S. Steel? Just
go
very
ahead,
quickly,
finish
sir. If the Japanese company that's interested in U.S. Steel wants to take a minority stake as opposed to full ownership, is
A
that
minority stake I wouldn't mind greatly, but what they're doing right now is they're going to be investors, and they're going to be investing in, I think, debt and various other things. But we didn't want to let U.S. Steel go to a foreign company. U.S. Steel was the greatest company in the world for a period of 15 years. It was, it was the big deal.
Mr. Beast, don't let me eat Lunchables on my stream in front of everybody.
Psychologically,
don't let me do that.
We can't even think about letting that happen. But what is going to happen, and we've already seen it, you see it in the stock price, with the tariffs, U.S. Steel is going to be a real powerhouse again.
Mr. Trump, if I could just follow up on Jackie's question about Munich. Vice President Vance's speech to the conference has ruffled quite a few feathers in Europe.
What did he say to ruffle them? I don't know.
He was talking about the freedom of speech and migration in Europe. Do you believe that European leaders have a fundamentally different view of the world than this administration's?
Well, I heard his speech, and I tell you, you're talking about JD's speech, right?
Yes, sir.
I heard his speech, and he talked about freedom of speech, and I think it's true in Europe. It's losing. They're losing their
hardcore losing
wonderful right of freedom of speech. I see it.
And they don't even give a shit.
He made
the people don't even care.
Good speech, actually, a very brilliant speech.
They're happily giving it away.
Be careful.
There's some Palpatine shit going on over in Europe.
And Europe has a big immigration problem. Just take a look at what's happened with crime. Take a look at what's happening in various parts of Europe. I thought his speech was very well received, actually. I've heard very good remarks.
And in regards to Ukraine as well, yesterday you mentioned that you thought Ukraine's NATO aspirations were one of the main reasons that the war broke out. Who do you blame for the war, Ukraine or Russia?
Well, I think that there were a lot of people to blame. All I can say is very simply, if I were president, that war would never have happened. And you know what else wouldn't have happened? The Middle East wouldn't be all blown up, and October 7th wouldn't have happened either. Those two areas, you wouldn't have inflation, you wouldn't have...
Utter Demon says, if you like Trump, you should jump off a tall building. You know, I want you guys to keep saying shit like that because it makes people not listen to you anymore, and it just strengthens our side. So the more you say shit like that, and please continue to do that, the more you do that shit, the more it strengthens our resolve on our side, and more lefties actually become righties. Like more people voted for Trump this time around than people that didn't. That's for a reason, and it's because of you. You did that. You did that by being weird. $5 super chat from Casper says, good luck arguing with these people. All they have is hate. They don't even know what they... Bro, I'm doing it. Isn't it fun to watch me talk to them? Right? Like the one dude, he gave me like $15 just to talk shit. I think that's funny as fuck. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I think it's worth it because it's fun to watch. Right? So this guy right here, he says, if you don't like Trump, you should jump off a tall building. He's so like ridiculously like full of hatred. Right? And all it does is weaken his side. And he doesn't realize it. He says, kill yourself, Stan. Right? He doesn't realize when you say stuff like that, it makes me stronger. Now I'm using you for content and rallying people. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're just going to continue to always use it against you when you behave like that. That's what we're going to do. It strengthens our side. If you want to be competitive, you're going to need to knock that shit off. That's what I want to say. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to lose and we're going to beat you. We're just going to keep beating you.
Have October 7th. You wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine fighting.
Thank you, Skillfuls, for the
None of those things would
prime.
have happened if I were president.
Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned auto tariffs the other day.
Yeah.
When do you plan to unroll?
Howard, I'd say over the next sometime, or maybe around April 2nd. I would have done them on April 1st. Believe it or not, I'm a little superstitious. No, literally, we had it planned for April 1st. I said, let's make it April 2nd. You know how much money that costs? That costs a lot of money just that one day, but we're going to do it on April 2nd, I think. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
The lead prosecutor in Eric Adams' case resigned today, saying anyone who didn't press forward would be a coward. What's your reaction to that and to the overall implication that politics were at play here?
Well, I don't know about it. I mean, obviously, I'm not involved in that. But I would say this, that if they had a problem, and these are mostly people from the previous administration, you understand, so they weren't going to be there anyway. They were going to all be gone or dismissed. If not, they know on Tuesday they're all being dismissed. You know, the whole country is being, because what you do is you come in and you put new people in. So when you say resign, they're going to be gone anyway. But I know nothing about the individual case. I know that they didn't feel it was much of a case. They also felt that...
$5 super chat from Ethan Roberts. He says, Biden achieved a 1% inflation, the lowest of any affected country by the pandemic, and got $35 insulin, which Trump cut. Deporting plus tariffs equals inflation. I think, deporting causes inflation. I don't necessarily think so. But I appreciate your comment. I think that there's definitely W's from the Biden team, whoever those mysterious fucking people are, but it's mostly L's. So I did hear about the $35 insulin being cut, and that sucks. And I would like to have that back. If there's a way to have that back, I would like to know the reasons. It's probably attached to more shit, and I'd like to see like what the fucking mathematics were of why that was cut. But I would like to see cheap insulin. And if we can get that back, if we can have cheaper insulin, that would be a good thing. I support that 100%.
It was unfair with the election. Look, I would know that better than anybody because I was weaponized more than any human being in the history probably of the world. And I won the election in a landslide, winning all 7 swing states, winning the popular vote and everything else because the people got it. It was weaponized. And I was weaponized literally weeks before the election. But I think there's also something to be said. I read that. There's something to be said for what they were doing. It looked to me to be very political. But why didn't they bring this up like 4 or 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, or whenever it happened? You know, they just sat around and didn't complain. Then all of a sudden they complain, and they know they're all being dismissed anyway. So, you know, that's the way it is. That's called politics, I guess. Yeah, please.
Earlier this week, you predicted that all hell would break loose if Hamas didn't hand over all of their hostages. What do you expect to happen tomorrow in terms of...
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at 12 o'clock. It was up to me. I'd take a very hard stance. I can't tell you what Israel's going to do. But I watched the last people come out, and I looked at a before and an after picture. One guy was a big, strong, healthy guy. Could say he was a little bit overweight. He's not overweight anymore. He looks like he just came out of the Holocaust. It looks like a Holocaust picture. I've looked at him for a long time, and they've been treated very badly. A young lady came out last week. Her hand was blown off. I mean, literally, her hand was trying to stop a bullet that was headed for her face. She put up her hand. She goes like this and wiped out her fingers and a lot of her hand. No, I would take a different stance, but it depends. Look, it depends what Bibi's going to do. It depends what Israel's going to do. But and now I understand they've totally changed. Hamas has totally changed. They want to release hostages now again. But you have to see, this started by them saying, we're not going to release the hostages as we said we were. I said, good. You have till 12 o'clock on Saturday, which is tomorrow at 12 o'clock to do it. And we didn't hear anything. Then all of a sudden, 2 days ago, they said, no, we've decided we're going to release the hostages. So, but I actually think they should release all of the hostages. Remember, they're probably as bad as they looked. I mean, I don't like to say that, but they looked real bad 4 days ago, 5 days ago when I saw them. And the young ladies that came out were treated really badly. You don't know what happened, but I do. They were treated really badly. But as bad as they look, the ones that follow probably will look a lot worse. I think they're sending out their most healthy. And they've been hit hard on that, Hamas. So they probably didn't want to release. But they changed their mind. I said 12 o'clock tomorrow, and all of a sudden, 2 days ago, yesterday, they said they're going back to releasing. But this all started by them saying, we are not going to release any more hostages. And then yesterday they said they are going to release.
Yeah, they're going to go back and forth
but
the
I
whole
think
time.
They should release all of the hostages.
Yes, all of them. Do it. Avoid annihilation. Release the fucking hostages.
It's a little bit short of the 5 to 10% goal you were hoping to hit. Do you think you'll have to make up the rest of that number in layoffs?
No, look, that's 75,000 more than we would have had, and nobody knows what that final number is, because in the end, I think a lot of people aren't going to show up to work. A lot of people, they got used to.
I have to comment on this. It's so funny. Stan Price looks a little too Mexican for my liking. Send him to Gitmo. Bro, I do got me some, you know what? I do got some olive in me, you know? Do I get an impasse?
Working. But,
since I'm a little, I got some olive skin, you know?
They have a lot of problems with it. No, 75,000 is a lot of people. And we paid them well. You know, we gave them a lot of months of severance pay, if you call it that. But no, I think you'll probably have some more, too, in addition. It's a big, tremendous saving for a guy.
No, I got to drink less beer, dude. I'm getting too fat. I need to cut out all alcohol.
But
this is a LaCroix.
So can I ask about the UK? I understand that you had a phone call with Keir Starmer yesterday.
I did. I just signed a letter to him. He asked for a meeting, and I agreed to the meeting. We're going to have a friendly meeting. Very good. We have a lot of good things going on. But he asked to come and see me, and I just accepted his asking.
Brown pass. Thank you. Yeah, I get a brown pass. Let's go.
I think he wants to come next week or the week after.
It's the native in me.
It was his request, not mine. But, you know, I've met him twice already. We get along very well. He's a very nice guy. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Dude, this guy streams every day for us.
Extended playback there inside of the Oval Office.
Trump is streaming every single day for us. He goes live, like he sits here for like, all these guys are all standing there. He's sitting and it's for like an hour. And it's been basically every single day. He comes in here and he talks for an hour and tells us what he's trying to do. Now, I know there's a lot of people, they don't like Trump. They don't agree with what he's doing. And that's fine. I'm not trying to tell you what to think or anything whatsoever. I don't care. Think whatever you want. All I'm saying is that I appreciate that somebody is talking to us. And the person talking to us is the guy. After 4 years of like, where the hell is our government and where's our leader, right? Where's the guy that everyone voted for? Where is he? It's just nice if it's like maybe it's a honeymoon stage vibe right now that I'm having. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. You know, because I'm just like, finally, like he's somebody to tell us what's going on again. But, you know, maybe that's what I'm feeling, but it's just really nice to I feel like he's telling us what his agenda is. I believe he is being truthful when he's saying these are the things that we're trying to accomplish. We want to invest heavily in AI, so we need more energy. In order to get more energy, these are our methods that we're going to try and achieve that. I believe these things. I believe those things. I think where people need to. I think there's a lot of people that just won't believe anything that Trump is saying, and I understand. All right, I get it. He's a politician. Like, don't believe any of them. You know what I mean? But I think that if we can measure what he's saying and then compare and see like, oh shit, like these are the actions of Team America are going towards these things that Trump are saying. And if like we're actively going in that direction, then I think it's safe to say that Trump is actually pursuing the things that he said he's going to try and do. At that point, you decide, do you agree with those things or not? Instead of just blindly saying he's lying about everything, because I've seen a lot of lefties do this. They don't even realize what Trump is doing. They've completely shut him off. Like I'll see a lot of them, they pop in the chat like, why are you watching this guy? Why are you even listening to him? And it's like, well, because he's telling us like what the plan is. You know, I'm trying to follow along with what the plan is, and then I want to see if they actually do what he says what the plan is. I'm just curious. Like he's saying these are the things that he's going to do, so I'm going to watch and see if he does them. That sounds so logical and reasonable to me, but it's like it's not allowed for some people. Some people, the way they see it, that's not allowed. It's crazy. That's wrong. That's the wrong way to do it. It's wrong to try and see, okay, what is he saying that he's going to do? Do I, first of all, understand that? If I don't, then let's ask some questions so we can try and understand it better. That's what I've been doing. So there's a lot of things that they're talking about and discussing, and it's my first time experiencing a lot of these things because I've never looked into it before. So, and then when I don't understand, I'll stop. I'll even ask the chat, like, what is, you know, like yesterday, I didn't know what BRICS was. And I've learned that for like 10 years now, there's been a collection of nations that are actively working together to be exceptionally competitive with America, as they should. They should be looking out for themselves. But I'm glad I'm aware that exists now. It makes me realize just how important our global position is, you know? So I thought you were smart. I think it's smart to not know something and then pursue the answer. That's literally intelligence. That's so funny. You're allowed to support whoever you want to support because this is America, bud. That's what this country was fucking founded on, bro. That's what I'm talking about, Michael. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm not trying to tell nobody not once have I told anybody what to think. I did tell someone to shut up. So I can't say I don't tell nobody what to do. I did tell someone to shut up because they were being retarded. They said, I forgot. It was something. One thing somebody said that was really stupid was like, don't bring manufacturing to Texas. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Wait, that you want that in Texas.